What is up, guys? It is Will Sports, and today I'm going to be talking about the Denver Broncos. Very ugly showing by them today. They became the first NFL team, and I can't remember the year, but it has been a while since a team has allowed 70 points. I think it's only happened once in the modern era. And the Dolphins actually had a chance to break the record, but Mike McDaniel, decided to be classy and not go for it. I honestly wish they would have gone for it. I was seeing a lot of people saying, karma's going to come back to get the Dolphins. Hey, if you don't fucking like it, stop it. And the Broncos could stop nothing. This was an embarrassing showing by them. They gave up 726 total yards, 376 through the air, and 350 on the ground, and allowed 10.2 yards per rush, 30 first downs allowed, and 3 turnovers to go with that. This was not an ugly game in terms of it was very interesting to watch because you just want to see how many more points could the Dolphins score. But it was ugly if you're a Broncos fan because the lack of discipline, the effort, tackling, intensity, it's like the team just came out with none of it. From the very jump, the Dolphins were getting going, and this is a very difficult offense to stop. Obviously, Tua, Tyreek, have been probably the best tandem so far this season through 3 games. And when you add on top of that just the rushing attack they have from Devin Achane and Raheem Mostert, who both, were just absolutely terrific this year. Achane went for 203 on the ground. That's ridiculous. And Tyreek had 157 through the air. Tua was uber efficient. The whole first half, he completed every pass. He was 16 of 16 the first half. And Tua just gets that ball out quick. And he's, accurate with the football. He's improved so much this year. And the Dolphins on offense looks unstoppable. But to give up 70 points is absolutely embarrassing. And I know people like to target Russell Wilson, and make when it comes to the Broncos' problems. You cannot put any of this on Russell Wilson when you look at how that defense went out there and played today. No effort, and Russell Wilson from the jump of the game was had his back against the wall because of how bad the defense was playing. And even if Russell Wilson goes out there and puts up 40 points, shit, you lose. You're still losing because your defense can't stop a nosebleed. Your defense was embarrassing, and Sean Payton needs to get rid of Vance Joseph ASAP because this was a defense in the Broncos that was one of the best in the NFL last season, the year before that. This was a team that brought in Russell Wilson because they knew that they felt like they were a quarterback away. And, the defense was really elite both of the last years. And even last year when they were still bad, the defense was not the problem. The problem last year was Russell Wilson and their receivers. But this season, and Nathaniel Hackett and his, play calling, which is really bad. But this year, the defense has been more glaring to me than anything. I saw Russell Wilson making some amazing throws in this game, looking like vintage Russell Wilson in Seattle, scrambling, making these great accurate throws on the run, getting out the pocket, just having that pep in his step that, Russell Wilson's always had. And he looked, he was making some deep balls, some on-target deep ball throws. Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton had a good game. These guys were doing their job early, but the defense just could not get off the field. And yes, Denver's offense was not great today, but I don't think that's the main thing you can point to when you look at this game. You have no choice but to look at the defense when you're giving up 70 goddamn points. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if you're playing the best offense of all time. This is not something that has happened in the modern era all but once. Teams don't rarely score over 40 points in the NFL. So to give up 70 points is just insane, and it just shows you could just tell the more and more you watch the game, Denver didn't care anymore. Their defense gave up, and Miami wasn't even necessarily trying to run up the score. In my opinion, I just felt like they did have one throw where it was a deep ball throw in the fourth quarter with their backup quarterback in the game. But even after that brought it up to 56 points, I think, something like that. But the Broncos defense just could not stop anything, or they didn't try to. You're just having simple, up the middle runs go for 70 yards and for a touchdown. Wide open receivers. I mean, Tua, it's not hard to be perfect when everyone's wide the fuck open, which is basically what it was in that first half. And, at the goal line in the red zone, Dolphins were pushing them around and getting into the end zone with relative ease, no matter what they did. You had Tua out here throwing a no-look pass to Devin A-Chain for a touchdown. Just no resistance for anything. And I just think the coverages are really bad, and you got to look at Vance Joseph, and he's supposed to be this defensive mastermind. This is who Sean Payton brought in to work on that side of the ball. Well, he's doing a terrible job. And instead of putting this on Russell Wilson, which I've noticed a lot of what Sean Wilson is doing is blaming Russ in press conferences, which I really don't fucking like. You need to be pointing at that goddamn defense. You need to be looking at that defense and saying, hey, we need to be better there. 70 points is unacceptable. And I'm taking this as a coach. I'm taking this upon me to get these guys playing the way they should be playing. And, Russ did a good job. But instead, it's just been a lot of finger pointing on Russ, especially after last week's game. I saw that in the, prior to the season. You cannot like Russ and, personality, but that doesn't mean just be biased against him and make it seem like it's all his fault. Because you did a shitty job by bringing in Vance Joseph, because he shouldn't be here. And every Broncos fan is calling for him to go. I think at this point, if you're a Broncos fan, you just want to lose games because you want Caleb Williams or a high draft pick of some sort. You don't care. The season's lost, because at this point, I don't see a scenario where this team can turn it around with how bad the defense has been. Every part of it. The offensive line isn't great either. It's not what they paid for. Russell Wilson's having to scramble a lot and get out the pocket a lot, not having great time to throw. And the receivers were okay today, but again, this is a receiving core that just is below average. If we're going to judge it based off all the receiving cores in the league, it's a below average receiving core. You don't have a single elite receiver. Your best receiver so far has been Marvin Mims, but he's just only played 2 games, and he's been a deep ball, goal ball type of receiver, but that's really it. But you're not getting a lot of separation from those guys, and it's creating a lot of havoc offensively. I want to see what they went on third down, because they were 3 of 12 on third down. So yeah, I mean, they just weren't doing a good job of sustaining drives, and that's been a problem for them the entire season. And the main thing is that they start games off really well and they don't finish well. And today was another. Today they didn't even start out well, but it's just like as the game goes on, they just get worse and worse on both ends of the ball. So I think everybody needs to go on that staff outside of Sean Payton, because he's the guy that you paid a lot of money to, and you traded a first round pick to get him to be your coach. But everyone else needs to go. You got to have a whole overhaul, because it's embarrassing to get beat like this on national television. And I just think the Broncos right now, they're at rock bottom. I don't think it could get any worse than that. What it was today, they're an embarrassment, and I feel for their fans, and I really hope that they can turn it around. But we got to stop putting all this on Russ and really start looking like, hey, this team is horrible, like as a whole, and the coaching isn't great from what I'm seeing either. And I think Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, so far haven't been bad in terms of their relationship together. It's just like, again, you got to get stops. You got to be able to you're letting Sam Howell, who threw 4 interceptions today against the Bills, kill you in the back end like he was last week. Jimmy Garoppolo and now Tua, looks like the best quarterback in the league against you. So it's just not a good look. But I do want to talk about the Dolphins, briefly, before I move on to my next topic. The Dolphins look like the best team in the NFL, not just the AFC, the NFL. And the Cowboys lost today to the Cardinals, a really bad loss, and they're out of that discussion for the best team in the league as of right now. So it's really just between the Dolphins and the Niners. Dolphins have looked more impressive though to me. Their defense is not amazing. It's an average defense, but they're able to score so much that you can kind of live with it. Tua has been absolutely amazing. Right now he's the front runner for the MVP. Mahomes probably right behind him, but what he's done this season, he's answered every bill. And I get he has a great situation in terms of the guys around him. I mean, you have so many weapons. Tyreek, Waddle isn't playing though, and they've been without one of their top offensive linemen for a few of these games. And then you also have Devin A-Chain and Raheem Mostert, who are coming in being great. Mike Gesicki. This is a team that is looking pretty solid, in my opinion. But it's just the fact that they're like consistent, and Tua has shown he can get it done in different ways. He's been clutch. He started out games really well, finished games being smart, making the right throws, not putting the ball in harm's way, being accurate, getting the ball out quick, and targeting Tyreek as much as you can, because Tyreek is up there for the best wide receiver in the NFL. So he's making an emphasis to get it to him and get it to his playmakers, and I like what he's doing. And Tua's a guy that a lot of people have been critical of over the years because of his health, and people don't know if he's as good as his stats may say. But I think this season the impact is showing, and they're winning, and their offense is unstoppable. This is the best offense in the NFL by every metric right now. So I think you have got to give him a lot of credit. Mike McDaniel just coaching his butt off. Like I said, some of the play designs or some of the things he's throwing out there, like that end zone, that goal line play where it's a no look. I don't know if that was improvised or if that was drawn up, but regardless, everything's drawn up well because so many guys are open. Every game they've played, guys are open and they're taking what the defense is giving them. So if the defense is giving them the long ball, you can do that. If the defense is trying to keep everything in front of them, you're going to methodically move the ball down the field. You face different types of defenses so far, and we've seen the same results. So I'm very impressed with this Miami team. I think they're a tough out. Like I said, I do think their defense needs to be a little bit better, because when they do face the elite teams, like next week they face Buffalo, I think they could be susceptible to, losing games just because they're giving up so many points. And if Tua doesn't have a great game throwing the ball, if Tyreek isn't, able to get open, or if there's just things breaking down the offense, your defense has got to be better. But the defense isn't terrible either. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch this team going forward. Miami looks like the real deal. But let me move on to my next topic, the Bears. I'm a Bears fan, and I'm just I can't even say I'm surprised, because I knew there was a possibility the Bears could be horrible this year, but I had hope that we were going to be an improved team. We have not been. We look like the worst team in the NFL. Broncos look pretty bad today, but over the whole course of the season so far, the Bears have consistently been the worst team in the league. The Chiefs was a tough matchup regardless, but I was hoping we could just make it somewhat of a competitive game with our backs against the wall. 0-2, we come out, play with some fire. Justin Fields would have a better game than he's had. And, our coaching staff would actually, just let it loose and be like, hey, it's the Chiefs. We got to go out there. If we're going to win, we got to go out there and, go win it. We can't sit here and be conservative and all this different shit. But it's the Bears, and it's exactly what they did. Pat Mahomes lit us up. He was 24-33, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. They had a good game from Travis Kelce. Rashee Rice had a solid game. Sky Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, just a lot of different guys getting involved for that Chiefs offense, and they have 456 total yards. They dominated the football game. Got pass rush on Justin Fields, and just made light work of us. And the Bears' problems continue as we're terribly coached once again. Matt Eberflus is not the guy. We need an offensive mind here in Chicago. We don't need to be bringing in guys that continuously don't fit what we need to be, especially if we want to have a quarterback that does well. We need an offensive mind. We need offensive pieces. We need guys who are bright offensive minds, not just an offensive mind, but bright offensive minds. Justin Fields has been getting a lot of criticism this year, and some of it's warranted. He has not been great, and he has definitely not progressed as much as I thought he was. But I still think that it's completely unfair to put all of this on him and act like he can't play at all. because I just don't agree, and I won't agree unless I see him on a team where everything is in a good. He's clearly in a good situation, and he's still been the thing that's holding him back. Like how Zach Wilson isn't with the Jets, because he has an All-Pro receiver, an All-Pro back, an All-Pro corner, two All-Pro corners. Just a great overall team to be able to make that shit work. And they're in close games, and they're not. And he's just not a good quarterback. He's not ready to play quarterback. Justin Fields is in a terrible situation still, and I get that they brought in DJ Moore, and people want to talk about that they brought in an offensive tackle this summer through the draft, and okay, like that doesn't mean that the roster's still good. It's still not good. Do you see the defense? What is Justin Fields supposed to do about this Bears defense? There's no pass rush. We have nobody in the secondary that can do anything against anybody. I mean, Jordan Love lit us up. Aaron Jones and the Packers. I mean, Aaron Jones was getting whatever he fucking wanted. It was embarrassing. Baker Mayfield looked spectacular against us. Mike Evans torched us. This week, Pat Mahomes. I mean, he does this to everybody, but just really bad showing each and every week for our defense, and it's just not a good look. And this is a team that, like I said, I was at least hoping that we'd see more flashes out of the offense with having a guy like DJ Moore, who's supposed to be a number one receiver. He hasn't gotten targeted as much as he needs to, and that's on Justin Fields, and Justin Fields does hold on to the ball sometimes, but then there's a lot of plays where there's nowhere to go with it. Today against the Chiefs, there was a lot of plays where there just was nowhere to go with it, and this is the Chiefs defense that's been very impressive through 3 games, better than a lot of people thought they were going to be, because that defensive line, even without Chris Jones in the first game, stood up pretty well, stood tall, held the Lions to 14 points. If they don't give up a pick 6 that goes off Tony's hands, they win that football game. It held the Jags to 9, held the Bears to 10 this week. So they're an elite defense so far. And the Bears had it, we're going to have a tough time moving the ball. But I just think that it's the conservative nature of this offense. There's not much going down the field. It's not like they're not trusting Justin Fields to make a lot of throws. And also part of that is because the offensive line is just not holding up. Justin Fields doesn't always have the most time to throw. And it's just, I think he's rattled in the pocket sometimes, or he doesn't trust that he can stand in the pocket and deliver throws. And if he does, then he's getting sacked. And he had a few balls today that were on point, that were deep balls, and guys just didn't catch the ball. Chase Claypool has done nothing for the Bears since he's gotten there. He's not been a good receiver for us, and we traded a lot to get him. He hasn't been as good as we thought he was going to be. DJ Moore through 3 games, he hasn't been great, and that's not all on him. Justin Fields has got to get him the ball, but he had some opportunities today where he dropped the ball, and I just think, most notably that deep ball that Justin Fields threw to him, and it was on target, he dropped the ball. You got to catch those type of balls to help Justin Fields out, because he's catching a lot of heat, and there's a lot going through his mind. There's a lot of pressure on him, and I'm sure he hears the outside noise, and he'll try to say he don't care, but when you hear so much of it, it's hard to block it out. Your fans are booing you. Your fans are talking shit about you. The coaches don't seem to trust in you the way that they need to. The play calling is just very conservative. The run game hasn't gotten going. Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert are okay, but they're not explosive enough, and we're just not blocking well enough for them, and we're not blocking well enough for Justin Fields. So this is a team that just has so much work to do, and I think the best thing is just probably the tank. And if we could get something back for Fields, we try to do that. But I just think this season's already over. I've lost all the hope. We've gotten blown out in 2 of our 3 games. And the Bucks game, even though it was close to the score, it felt like a blowout. It just never felt like the Bears actually had a shot to win. Justin Fields, like I said, has been pretty pedestrian. So far this season, he had 99 yards passing today, 211 versus the Bucks. And then against the Packers, I think he had 100 something, but just hasn't really been spectacular. And he's not running. He's not running as much this year. And I think if you're Justin Fields, you got to kind of just let it loose and run the ball if there's opportunities. And because that was the main thing last year that sparked his offense and sparked his ability, and all the the hype coming into this year is that he was running the ball so well that he didn't have great receivers. So felt like if he had better receivers, he could be better as a as a thrower of the football. But again, this receiving core is still not great. DJ Moore is our best receiver, but outside of that, he doesn't have much to throw to. I mean, Darnell Mooney's okay. Chase Claypool's been a disappointment. I think Justin Fields in a different situation with a good offensive line, a number of weapons, can be a really good quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be elite. I feel like we've seen enough to feel like he's not going to be elite. But if he doesn't have to carry a load, but he could just be the guy that, keeps the offense flowing, and he has guys around him that can help him out, I think Justin Fields can be a fine quarterback. If you put him in the Niners system, do I think the Niners drop off that much? I don't. I do think Brock Purdy's probably a better fit for the Niners just because of his accuracy, and he is more of a pocket passer. Fields is a guy that scrambles and likes to get out, and kind of, he's a dual threat quarterback. So I do feel like Brock Purdy fits that system more. But if you put Justin Fields in a system like that, I think he'd be fine. I don't think we'd have these same notions of him. And also the Bears, I'm a Bears fan, but we ruin quarterbacks. Mr. Trubisky, now Justin Fields. Nick Foles came here and he didn't perform well. Jay Cutler was pretty bad a lot of times throughout his tenure here. So it just hasn't been great. But I'm pretty used to it as a Bears fan. I hope Justin Fields gets an opportunity somewhere else, because I do think he's still a solid quarterback. I think we write off a lot of guys because they struggle early, but you see guys like Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Jared Goff kind of rekindling their ability in a different spot, and kind of showing that they can still play. So I think it'll be that way with Justin Fields if he gets another opportunity. But like I said, the Bears have a lot of changes to make, and I just really hope those changes come. Today was going to be an uphill battle regardless, but to just continue to get embarrassed like this, and we've lost, so many games in a row now. It's embarrassing as a fan of this team. I think it's 13 straight losses now. Really bad. So, yeah, I'm used to it. But that's all I have to say. Broncos and Bears play next week, so one of those teams is going to have even more hurt in their fan base and even more frustration among their fan base, and one will feel a little more optimistic after next week. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, that's all I have to talk about. I'll be making more videos about this week's games. I just want to cover these two teams specifically in this video. And yeah, let me know what else y'all would like me to talk about. Comment down below. And it's been Will Sports. Peace.